Thank you. Thank you for coming. We're extremely delighted that all of you are here and excited to begin the program. Inshallah, to begin, I'm going to bring up my friend, Chaplain Tahira Ahmed, who's going to be your first MC. And we begin everything with Bismillah and in the name of God. So I bring up Chaplain Tahira Ahmed. Chaplain Tahira Ahmed is the Director of Interfaith Engagement, Associate University Chaplain, and Associate Chair of Women's Residential College at Northwestern University. In 2014, she became the first woman to represent the United States at the International Quran Competition in Indonesia. She will be your first MC. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace, namaste, saswakal, bonjour. I'm so delighted to be here tonight. ISNA is a childhood memory, it is a childhood dream, it is a place that I grew up, and many of our friends here today who are part of the greater Chicagoland community have put their blood and sweat into this incredible convention that happens every year, in which I would say Muslims all over from North America and even all over the world join us. So to our interfaith partners who are here tonight, it is such a pleasure that you are here with us, celebrating at a time when we come together as a community. And this cannot happen without all of you. Your presence is absolutely fundamental to our own growth and development in this country. And it is so beautiful that you took out some time to be with us here tonight. In the Muslim tradition, we often begin our programs with a recitation of the Quran. The Quran means that which is to be recited in times of joy, in times of sorrow, in times of meditative, contemplative times in which we find a sense of connection to our higher power, to our Lord. I would like to invite a young Hafid, which means someone who has memorized the entire Quran, the 6,236 verses, Hafid Ahmed Mirza Beg, and it will be translated by Sister Amal Mohsen. So please welcome Hafid Ahmed Mirza Beg as he joins us to recite the portion of the Quran which this entire convention has a theme that recognizes that with hardship comes ease, that God recognizes that whenever there's hardship, there is also ease.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك
In the name of God, the most gracious, the dispenser of grace, have we not opened thy heart and lifted thee in the burden that has weighed so heavily on thy back? And have we not raised thee high in dignity? And behold, with every hardship comes ease. And verily, with every hardship comes ease. Hence, thou art freed from distress. Remain steadfast, and into thy sustainer with love. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.
Wasn't that a wondrous recitation of the Quran? Takbir. Takbir. Next, I would like to introduce to you all the president of ISNA, Safa Zarzur. I have a lot to say about him because I grew up in this community and I know him quite well. But I do have to say formal words to introduce our incredible president. Safa Zarzur, of course, is the president of the Islamic Society of North America. He is an educator, he's an attorney, and a community activist. Professionally, he is the superintendent of universal schools in Illinois and Indiana. He's also the principal of Zarzur Law. Previously, he has served as Secretary General of ISNA, General Counsel and Chief Operations Officer at Zakat Foundation, and has been the Chief Executive Officer at Iqra International Foundation. As an adjunct law professor at Loyola Law School, Zarzur is the co-founder of the ISNA Education Forum, the chairman of the Council of Islamic Schools of North America, and a member of the Board of Advisors of the Lake Institute of Faith and Giving, vice chair of the Mas Foundation, elected board member of Oaklawn Community High School, and president of the Syrian Forum of USA. Because this is an interfaith gathering, I wanted to share with you that a few years ago, I was on an interfaith trip to Turkey with our wonderful president, Safa Zarzur. And on the interfaith trip, I had a young woman who was in her 20s with me as well at the time. And we were just talking about, how has this trip been for both of us? And she said, it's so interesting because she grew up Catholic, but she wasn't sure what she was. She said, what was really amazing about your tradition? The men always get up and make sure the ladies sit down. The men never eat before the women eat. I was like, really? When did you see that? And she said, well, Safa does that. And it occurred to me, and I was thinking about how do I introduce Safa? Because everyone knows him and everyone loves him. There's a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that Sayyidul Qawmi Qadimahum, that the leader of a people is in fact in servitude to them. That how do you know a person is a good leader? A good leader takes care of the people around him. And so Safa is that person. I'm so delighted to introduce you to the president of ISNA, who is indeed someone who is in servitude to them.
My goodness. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Peace be upon all of you. I started wondering who's the guy she's describing. Thank you, Tahira. Indeed, that's such a memorable trip, though it's about 7 years old. And truly it was a wonderful learning experience. I welcome all of you here, friends, people of faith, and that's really the best description I can use to people in this room. People of faith, and there's nothing more beautiful than faith. It gives us hope, it gives us resilience, it gives us generosity of spirit, and I feel it all in this room. ISNA is a pioneer in interfaith discussions, dialogue, partnerships, call it what you will, because in reality, it has been an evolving journey for ISNA at least when it comes to interfaith. I remember, started getting involved with the interfaith work right before 9/11, around 2000, 1999, 2000. And then, we progressed after 9/11 into a new era. Because initially, I will be honest with you, it was more like a meet and greet everybody wanting everybody to feel good, but it's all superficial in a way because everybody is worried about stepping on the toes of the other. We don't know each other, we don't know each other's faith traditions that well, so everybody is just, just wanting to be super nice. But that also, again, gave it the aura of superficiality. 9/11 came and it hit us hard, and ISNA took the lead, along with our partners in faith at the time, to establish Shoulder to Shoulder, an organization that took its own shape later on, became its own nonprofit organization that continues today to work beautifully. And it was basically faith traditions standing with American Muslims in the face and to face the tide of Islamophobia that started rising. And that was a wonderful step, and it was a step up from the kumbayas and you're good, I'm good, let's be happy, into something more serious. But then even that became not enough. So we moved into partnerships of things that bring us together, that are common to all of us. All of us people of faith, are facing very much the same challenges of a world that is increasingly about me, the I, about the now and here, about instant gratification, about godlessness, about secularism. And that is something that touches all of us, people of faith. And it challenges all of us, people of faith. And so it brought a new level of partnership that really put behind us all of the other early stages of it. But then we moved over on to even yet another stage of wanting to fight injustice, because regardless of our specific creeds, all of us, our traditions emphasizes and insists on us to stand up for what's right, to stand up for justice, to abhor injustice, to come to the aid of those who are being oppressed, who are being marginalized. Also, in addition to that, all of our faith tradition exalts helping people who are in need. In our tradition, we are taught by our Prophet, peace be upon him, that the poor and the weak among us are our trial to test our faith. And that if we do it right, we shouldn't have those who are in need and those who are not finding enough to sustain themselves. And we do have those short periods of Islamic history, but very bright spots where it is said that zakah will be collected and there is not anybody who needs and who wants to take because they have sufficient, they have enough. So they went on to help people who want to get married. Eventually, even they would buy feed for the birds and spread it on top of the mountain and spread it in the open for even birds and animals to eat. So we are now at a stage where I believe a very healthy, robust stage of interfaith that is beyond the superficiality into coming together to make sure that we live in a world where faith is respected and honored, and where we are able to practice our faith freely, and a place where we together fight against injustice and make sure that no one goes hungry, no one goes without what sustains them. And so I welcome that. And it's a journey that will continue, inshallah, with all of us together, increasing our understanding of each other's faith traditions, and identifying those causes that are worthy of our work together, our joint work, to make the world a better place for not only all of us, for everyone, inshallah. Thank you so much. Again, I welcome you to this banquet and look forward to us learning from each other and increasing in friendship as well as in spiritual connection to each other and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to God. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you.
Next, I would like to introduce Brother Shaib Qadri. He is the chair of our Interfaith Banquet here tonight, so please welcome him.
distinguished guests, good afternoon. On behalf of ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, and your local host, the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for being here, for giving us the time, because I know it's not easy on a Labor Day weekend to take time off family, so we truly appreciate you being here today. The Interfaith Banquet has always been a flagship event of the ISNA convention because it is an opportunity for us to recognize and appreciate the friendship that we have developed with our different faith organizations. It is an opportunity for us to foster these relationships, build new bonds, and also to showcase our values and culture as represented in this national convention. Now, we have traditionally invited mostly faith leaders, but this year we chose to extend the invitation also to many of our elected leaders. We wanted our elected reps to recognize the strength of our faith organizations that represent large segments of your constituents, and to work with us in addressing common issues that transcend race, religion, and beliefs. We are proud to host this convention in Chicago, which has a long tradition of interfaith engagement, and the Muslim community has been active in this engagement for many years at the national level with ISNA and at the local level with CIOGC. Over the years, I think all of us interfaith partners have done a great job with increasing our understanding of each other, dispelling misconceptions, celebrating our common beliefs, and respecting each other's traditions. But there is a lot more to do, especially in an increasingly polarized world. While talking to many faith leaders on initiatives that we work together, we agree that we need to get beyond photo ops and focus on more real issues like our President Imam, President Safit just mentioned. Issues that plague our communities, especially our youth. Issues like mental health, substance abuse, issues like hatred and intolerance. Issues that require all of us to stand up for justice, because I don't know of any faith that doesn't espouse justice. Now, as a means of achieving this objective, we have a table discussion on our agenda for today. And I request and urge all of you to think of one thing during this table discussion, and that is impact. What can we do to make real impact? Thank you once again for being here, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shaikh Badri. Next, I would like to invite Brother Mir Khan and Brother Ashfaq Sayed. Brother Mir Khan is chair of ISNA's Convention Steering Committee. He's also an ISNA board member, and Brother Ashfaq is secretary of ISNA's Convention Steering Committee and member of the Naperville Muslim community. Please welcome both of them.
Thank you, Dara. I just want to take a couple of seconds here to acknowledge Ashfaq Sayed for being instrumental in helping us, invite several, elected officials and other faith leaders in Chicago. Thank you, Ashfaq. For this segment, I would first of all ask Tahira Ahmed to kindly read the letter that President Biden has sent to us.
So folks, President Biden has sent us a letter. I would like to thank you and the Islamic Society of North America's leadership for inviting me to participate in ISNA's 59th annual convention. This organization's dedication to supporting and engaging Muslim Americans is invaluable in strengthening communities and empowering Muslim voices across our nation. The theme of your convention this year, Resilience, Hope, and Faith, with Hardship Comes Ease, emphasizes shared American values that reinforce our faith and deepen our commitment to our work and families. The beautiful ayah, with hardship comes ease, is a poignant reminder that the challenges that test us also strengthen us. The diverse community of Muslim Americans brings indispensable cultural, economic, and scientific contributions to our great nation. Muslim Americans are leading on the front lines to help those in need, supporting communities by resettling refugees and assisting those suffering from hunger and conflict. They have demonstrated remarkable resilience in the face of persistent challenges, from fighting the scourge of Islamophobia and violence to managing the continuing impact of the pandemic. When I came into office, I pledged that my administration would reflect the diversity of the United States. And that's what we have done, including appointing the first Muslim American to the federal bench and the first Muslim American to serve as the ambassador at large for international religious freedom. There is a Quranic teaching: we have made you into nations and tribes so that you may get to know one another. These leaders, along with many other Muslim Americans, engage in public service at all levels, are helping us fulfill these principles of togetherness, solidarity, and strength through diversity. I look forward to continuing to work with ISNA and Muslim Americans across our country to build bridges and underscore our common humanity. With your continued vision and guidance, I have no doubt that the American Muslim community will continue to thrive and make positive contributions that strengthen our nation. Thank you so much, and may peace be with you, President Joe Biden.
Thank you so much, Taiwan. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really honored and delighted to request Ambassador Rashad Hussain. Of course, he's the Ambassador at Large for International Religious Affairs from the Biden administration. Ambassador Rashad Hussain.
Good evening. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to spend time with this honorable gathering tonight. The work that you're doing and that we're doing in partnership is so critical. We work with nearly all the faith communities represented in this room on important work here in the United States and around the world. And I can say that throughout my time in government, going back to the Obama administration, this has been invaluable partnership in advocating for the freedom of people everywhere to practice their faith. We tell our team all the time back in Washington that anything that we can do to help any single person that comes to us or any community that comes to us, and they often come to us in distress about the situation they face around the world, it is our obligation to get up every day. And it really is our honor to be able to wake up every day and to do that work. And it's work that we truly believe in. And we have in our tradition, I know it's a part of many traditions, that if you save one life, it's as if you save all of humanity. وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا فَكَأَنَّمَا أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا in the Arabic and the Quranic tradition. And that's what we're really dedicated to doing on a day-to-day basis, whether it's advocating on the behalf of one individual that we hear about in some part of the world, working with that government, working with civil society organizations so closely with those of you who are here, or on larger projects such as the Marrakesh Declaration in 2016, which brought together over 300 faith leaders from across the Muslim world to advocate for the rights of religious minorities living in Muslim-majority countries. That is an important part of the work that we're doing. And it's really powerful to be able to do this work with all of you and to be here in one of the greatest cities in the world, or as my wife would say, Isra, the greatest city in the world, Chicago. One of the most, I would also say probably one of the most religiously diverse cities in the world. And it really speaks to one of the points I was making yesterday, which is when I came into this role, we travel all around the world. Sometimes our criticisms anger other governments, and so they'll respond to us with questions such as, who are you as the United States, and who are you as an ambassador advocating for human rights to stand in judgment or to assess what we're doing in our country? And they'll often point to problems that we have right here in the United States. And Chicago is a powerful example and a powerful answer to that. We have communities here that are working closely together. We have people here that are freely practicing their faith. Of course, we have our own issues from time to time, but we are committed to that quest for a more perfect union. And Chicago has been an example of that. And going back to the founding of our country, we were founded by individuals, many of whom were fleeing religious persecution themselves, and our founders, in one of the most incredible documents in the world, our Constitution, the First Amendment, guaranteed the free exercise of religion and the Establishment Clause that the government shall not establish a state religion. And we truly are a country of immigrants, people that have come from all over the world to cities like Chicago, where my father first came from India. He grew up in a village in India with no electricity. He came to the United States in 1969 to Chicago. This was his first home. And so many people come here and they don't forget about what is going on in their home countries. They don't forget about their families. They don't forget about their people. And they come here and they demand of our respected elected representatives, some of who are joining us here tonight, and they demand of their government officials that we promote our values and promote religious freedom as we practice it here in the United States all over the world. So when people ask us this question, who are you? I think Chicago is a proof that we are actually made up of representatives from the rest of the world, and we are well positioned to do this work together, not just in our words, but in our deeds of serving, as we do in so many important areas all across this country, including in Chicago. So many tremendous interfaith projects that are going on. And just incredible organizations such as the Inner City Muslim Action Network, led by Rami Nashashibi here. And Al-Tahir has been involved in so much great work as chaplain at Northwestern, and so many of you, too many projects to remember. So to acknowledge right now, but I really appreciate this opportunity to come together, and ISNA's continued commitment to bringing people of all faiths together. And I want to just assure you that we are here as a community. I'm here as someone who is honored to serve in this role, to serve on behalf of you and to answer your questions, to work with you, to look into concerns that you have around the world, and to address the challenges that we face even as we deal with challenges here in the United States. And in this regard, President Biden will be hosting a summit, United We Stand Summit later this month on September 15th, to address some of the challenges that we're facing right here in the United States. And what's powerful for me and so many of others that are working in the government on foreign affairs is, again, it's an opportunity for us to lead by example and to say that our work here is not finished as we seek to create a more perfect union. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Rashad Hussain. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you a video message from the senior senator from Illinois, Dick Durbin.
Salam. This is Senator Dick Durbin. What an honor to join you for the 59th Annual Convention of the Islamic Society of North America. The Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, the University of Illinois Chicago's Institute for Policy and Civic Engagement, and the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding released a groundbreaking report on the Illinois Muslim community. They found that Illinois has one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse and fastest growing Muslim American community in America. I'm especially pleased and proud you've once again chosen Illinois to host this year's convention. The theme for the convention provides opportunity for reflection and optimism. Reflection, as too many in our nation face challenges, economic hardships, new variants of the pandemic, a Supreme Court bent on stripping our rights away, and optimism, as the Muslim American community remains at the forefront of so many great causes. From Maha Ayesh, serving as the first hijab-wearing police officer in Illinois, to the Inner City Muslim Action Network spanning mental health care access through Chicago's South Side, to HEART, women and girls fighting for reproductive justice. In the Senate, I've stood by the Muslim American community by co-sponsoring legislation to celebrate your achievements and contributions. And I've addressed honestly and directly Islamophobia at home and abroad. As chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, I promise I'm going to keep working so that America in the future is fair and just for everyone, so that it truly is a nation of resilience and hope. I wish you all a happy and successful convention. I look forward to being with you in person again soon.
And thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Mir Newman from Illinois.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. It is so good to see everybody, and I bet you're so happy to all be in person again, right? After, is it 3 years? Oh my goodness. So I'm so happy for all of you. I'm also so pleased to be here on the Interfaith Coalition evening of your very special convention. The reason I'm very excited about that is that going back to 2019, I started an Interfaith Coalition on my campaign when I was running for Congress. We were lucky enough to be elected, but that group, that core group, we did a lot together because we didn't know what was coming in 2019, but this thing called COVID came, right? And our faith organizations, Muslim organizations, community organizations came together in the most beautiful and spectacular way in my district. The city was helping the suburbs helped the wards in the city. Every organization, many of them Muslim organizations, were the bedrock of the solution and the backstop, and quite frankly, all we had in some cases. So I couldn't be more appreciative for your amazing work during COVID. But I also am appreciative of your amazing organizing abilities for our electoral process. You've done an amazing job. I am so proud of the work that we have done with my office, with our many counselors and workers and folks that have worked both on my campaign and in my official office. So thank you for your amazing work. I think it's important to talk about Islamophobia this evening. One of the kind of centerpieces of my campaign as well as my congressional office is equity. Equity is critical for all of us to move forward. And when the Muslim Civic Coalition published their report, I couldn't be more excited to see the growth of the community and the steadfastness of the community. And the reason I say that is because, I'm just going to be clear, you all get it done. You do. You get it done, and get it done really well. And so I encourage everybody here to keep doing the amazing work that you're doing for equity. Equity is everything moving forward. That's one of the words that gets thrown around a lot by government officials. But I will tell you, no matter where I go or what I do moving forward, equity will be at the root of everything that I do. And I know it's what you all strive for every day. So thank you for your amazing work. Thank you for this organization of organizations. You bring all the best and the brightest out, so thank you for what you do. And I hope the remainder of the convention goes well for you. And it has been an honor to work with this community, an absolute honor. So have a good evening.
And then, ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to take a minute here to also recognize some of the dignitaries we have here. First of all, the Consul General of Pakistan, is here, Mr. Tariq Kareem. And then we have the Mayor of Glendale Heights, Chaudhry Kokar. We have Dr. Suresh Reddy, Village Board of Trustee of Oakbrook. Daniel Heber, President of Forest Preserve District of DuPage County. And finally, Judge Linda Davenport. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, that was a wonderful part of our program, but here's what's coming up, and it's really exciting. If you haven't noticed already, you are on tables with people you really may not know too well, and there is a purpose to that. For the first time ever, ISNA is going to have a portion within its program where you get to talk to the people next to you from different backgrounds. And so I'm going to first recognize that at every table, there is a facilitator, but some tables do not have a facilitator. So can you raise your hand if you're a facilitator? Okay, so if I have two facilitators at a table, can I have that person maybe go to another table? If you do not have a facilitator at your table who raised their hand, then please self-appoint a facilitator at your table. So I'm going to let you all do that. So can you raise your hand one more time, whoever is a facilitator? Okay, and if you do not have one, please self-appoint as facilitator. This is a really important aspect of the program because I will ask some of the facilitators to reflect back out. Okay, so in 1 minute, we're gonna do a really quick rapid fire question. You're going to introduce who you are, your name, perhaps the title or institution that you represent, and anything you want to share about yourself. So just in 1 minute, there we go. Thank you for the lights on. So I'm gonna time you in 5 seconds. So again, your name, your institution, your title. And it's gonna be rapid fire, so we're gonna go quickly.
So just your name and the institution you represent. My name is Karavich. My name is Safit. I transport everything on you. And he left. I don't know. Maybe that was the punishment arrangement. One American. Good, I want to become a all right. Sitting with the president. I'm Dr.
30 seconds, folks. This part's supposed to be really quick. 30 seconds. All right. Put your thumbs up if you think you're done with your group. Okay, wonderful. So the next rapid fire question I have for you is, when someone says the word interfaith, what comes to mind? It could just be a word, it could be a phrase, but we're gonna do this again pretty quickly. And I see some interfaithers out here, mashallah, who are experts. Imam Majid, salam alaikum. Okay. All right, so this, again, we're doing this very, very quickly, rapid fire. When you think of the word interfaith, what comes to mind? Think of one word or an expression. All right, if you're good, raise your hands. Oh, you guys still got 1 second? Okay. All right, I'll give you guys 20 more seconds.
All right.
The table that's taking the longest seems to be the ISNA board, guys. Okay, as we transition, I know some tables are still kind of percolating. The next question, I think, is fundamental to the work we all do, right? Because sometimes interfaith can be something that someone may talk about as even a buzzword today, but as our president mentioned earlier, Safit Zarzour, that he really believes that we are in a time and place where real work is being done on the ground. And with that work, we know that there are sometimes opportunities and then sometimes there are challenges. So the next question, I'm gonna give you guys longer because it does require some time to really think through this. What is the greatest challenge to interfaith? What is the greatest challenge to interfaith? And you can imagine the question after that will be, what are some of the opportunities? So whoever is on your table that wants to share that, not every single person has to. So if there are folks on the table that are comfortable sharing some of those challenges, I welcome you to that. And our facilitators, please do take notes because I will call on you.
Just keep it to yourself. So we can go around the table. I think trying to see our differences. So the interfaith is
in South Africa, when Euro was was that we remained rather than just arguing from his values and his generations. Because like the thing, I mean, but the thing is that we always want something better. Always want and people are
I'll give you folks 1 more minute.
We have to remember that this generation, we don't do it, who's going to do it next? Who are we going to give it and pass it on? How old are you? And I'm going to... I think it's just the opposite. If you don't care where it comes from,
For those tables that are ready, please go ahead and start asking the question, what are some of the opportunities? So we've been talking about challenges. I want to transition for those tables that are ready to opportunities. And I'll time that to about 3 minutes.
Do you have a problem with money?
some people who just forgot what there is, what religion is, and we're trying to remind them what is religion, what are you? Who are you as a human being? What is your purpose? And if we don't figure this purpose out, what are you? Who are you as a person? Why were you born? And when you're going to die, what are you going to do?
I think now they wanted us to transition to what are some of the opportunities. What are some of the opportunities that you foresee in interfaith work?
For me, it's enrichment, finding out more other religions. It's giving me a bigger worldview. It's giving me more it's truly changed me.
Opportunities of interfaith.
I mean, like, since you're
So I'll give you folks one more minute to wrap up this part. I know it's a little quick. We have a program to conclude and we want to feed you.
Mama, I don't want to get serious.
All right, 30 seconds.
Back in the day.
Best way to combat everybody on common
Then everybody used to sit together.
biggest opportunities
There is one purpose.
All right, folks. Hopefully you had a little primer. The purpose of this portion, I know it was very short and it was rapid fire. The mastermind behind it is, mashallah, our Imam Safit. So I want to give him the credit for that. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. It was very short, but the purpose was for you to at least be able to hear each other's voices in this time frame. I think it's really crucial for each one of us to be able to share some thoughts, but if you have a business card with you, I think now is an opportunity to share that and say, hey, I really loved what you had to say, I would like to connect with you. So hopefully these conversations will continue, you will bring each other into our own houses of worship, and we want that dialogue to continue. At this portion, I would like to ask some of our facilitators to take 1 minute to just share out some of the key highlights of what was shared at your tables. So I'm going to call our amazing chaplain of Chicago at table 17, Abu Noor, mashallah, if that's okay. I see you right there. Maybe you can go first, Abu Noor. So I do believe we have a mic. We have a mic. Okay, Abu Noor, you're loud. You're pretty loud. So if you could.
Thank you so much. We had a great little discussion here. I think one thing we noticed, and I'm saying at each of your tables.
A mic's coming, Abu Noor. A mic's coming. 1 second.
Thank you so much. One thing we noticed, and I don't know if it was the same at each of your tables, is that everything that we framed as a challenge could also be framed as an opportunity, and everything that we said as an opportunity could also be framed as a challenge. But some of the things that we pointed out were religious extremism, misinformation, polarization, leaders playing with people's sentiments to kind of use people against each other, the decreasing salience of religion for some people, and maybe prejudices among groups, and maybe different perspectives that people bring from different countries, not necessarily being the same relevant issues here in this country. Some of the opportunities we pointed out were increasing ease of communication and awareness of each other, the being able to model for a young generation, the importance of flexibility, helping people to see that even if people don't identify with religion as much anymore, they all have spirituality and all have ways in which they can still work together with faith-based organizations. And the challenge of all of our faith traditions, I think, to respond to these evil and to these challenges with good, and which is what is better, and to make the world a better place. So thank you.
Thank you, Abunur. We'll take table number 6. Who was the facilitator? Yeah, okay, chaplain, mashallah. Abunur, by the way, is the Muslim chaplain at DePaul University here in Chicago. Would you introduce yourself too, please?
Sure. Kawai Benur, a hospital and campus chaplain in Houston, Texas. Okay. Hi and salams again. So some of these is going to be just a repetition of what Chaplain shared, but I'm gonna go with some different ones, I guess. As challenges, we talked about fear and ignorance and the lack of reach out among our communities, rigidity and extremism, which is turning into a religion in itself. And we also talked about trauma and some cultural baggage we bring to the table, misconceptions and us and them mindset instead of just we, us, all together. Coming to opportunities, we talked about discovering this common ground to work for a greater common cause for all of us. And I have climate, environment activists at my table, so they were really focusing on that. And we talked about cultural components, respect for differences, and one of the highlights as an opportunity was food and music. We kind of planned a party at this table, so open-mindedness is the greatest opportunity, and the peace in general, I guess.
Folks, I'm being told that we're running really short on time, so I know that there were incredible conversations on the tables, and I'm hoping that you all will continue to reconnect with each other. I'm going to transition our program, and I was asked to also do a reflection of what I'm feeling or sensing at this point. Because of the sake of time, all I want to say is thank you so much for being here, especially our interfaith partners, our multi-faith partners. I said this in the beginning, that the American Muslim community, in order for it to thrive, we need to be in partnership with you all. It is essential to our growth and our development. And before me are incredible leaders who are sitting right here. I mean, I want to recognize Najiba is here as well, mashallah, and is doing incredible interfaith work. There are amazing people right here that I would love for you to connect with. Imam Majid's here all the way from DC. I see the founding kind of father figures, or someone who everyone knows, Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui is here as well. So there's so many folks here that I would like for you to connect with, and Dr. Mark Swanson is actually on my table with my own family. So I think there's so many incredible people here. Please find time to connect with them. I'm going to transition to our next MC. I want to introduce to you Arshan Khalid. Arshan is the vice chair of this Interfaith Banquet, and just very briefly, I want to say that even in the short time that we've been working together, absolutely organized, absolutely superb. He's studying theology with a focus on interfaith relations at the University of Chicago, which is one of the best schools, as you know, for that, even though I'm at Northwestern. You can laugh at that. And then he's further studied traditional Islamic sciences for more than a decade, and he has been with scholars all over the world, Jerusalem, Jordan, Mauritania, Egypt, Turkey, America. He's here organizing this entire banquet along with Shoaib Qadri, Mir Khan, Bashar Talim, and the entire community. So thank you so much. Please join us.
Running short on time here. The Persian poet As-Sa'di had this couplet. Imagine if you were invited to a banquet by the Lord of the worlds. How would you treat each person? How would you look at them? Their faults and imperfections, their good and bad, the best of them and the worst of them. Then in a moment of introspection, he says to himself, "O Sa'di, what if this life is this banquet?" This work of interfaith is an outreach from the Muslim community, an attempt at a world of reconciliation, humanity, and colossal harmony. This is testimony from the Muslim community against the notions of clash of civilizations, and perhaps an attempt at the realizations of the possibilities of the words of the Declaration of Independence, that all men and women are indeed created equal under the eyes of God, and they have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To begin this section of this program, let us bring up Brother Mir Khan, who is our keynote speaker, who's been hard at work within the Muslim community and the interfaith community, and has dedicated much of his life to this work. He's the past president of the Council of Religious Leaders of Metropolitan Chicago, former chairman of the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago. Mr. Mir Khan served in many different advisory councils of the Interfaith Youth Corps, Catholic Theological Union, Islamic Society of North America, and he's your incoming vice president at the Islamic Society of North America. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Mir Khan. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace to all of you. Allow me to begin with the opening theme of the historic joint declaration from top leaders of Islam and Christianity, Sheikh Al-Azhar Ahmad Al-Tayyib and His Holiness Pope Francis in February 2019, and I quote, "Faith leads a believer to see in the other a brother and sister to be supported and loved. Through faith in God, who has created the universe, the creatures, and all human beings, believers are called to express this human fraternity by safeguarding creation and the entire universe and supporting all persons, especially the poorest and those most in need." That proclamation, my dear friends, sets the stage perfectly for our interfaith unity gathering tonight. It frames the relationships we have been and we will continue to be nurturing under the Islamic Society of North America umbrella, outside it, on institutional bases across the United States and abroad, and most importantly, in our individual connections and interactions with fellow beings and citizens. Look around yourself at this gathering. What a platform for convening those of diverse faiths and cultures and backgrounds under a shared order of fraternal relationships. We have the Catholic Church represented through the Chicago Archdiocese. We have Bishop Demetrius of the Greek Orthodox Church, and I was compelled to go give him a hug myself because we have spent decades, my dear friends, with so many of you all, investing our time with love and compassion in building those relationships. These interfaith relationships do not happen overnight, right, my dear friend Bishop? We have Dr. Mark Swanson of the Evangelical Lutheran Church. We have Rabbi Friedman from the Chicago Board of Rabbis, Pastor William Barber from the Protestant Church, Reverend Stephen Albino from the Parliament of the World's Religions, Reverend Asayo Horibe of the Buddhist community, Rajendra Singh Magoo of the Sikh American Society, many Muslim imams around the country, including our dear Sheikh Mukhtar Faizi from Baitul Ilm. And there is Sunita Vishwanath from the Hindu community. Where are you, Sunita? Somebody, I'm sorry, the bright lights keep me from seeing you there. But what an ideal portrayal, Sunita, of Vasudeva Kutumbakam today, right? One world family. And we are living the Islamic tradition of fraternity. That is, we are brothers and sisters in humanity. Given that primordial relationship of fraternity that binds us, it behooves me, and dare I challenge you all a little bit, behooves all of us to nurture, to maintain, and to grow these bonds of togetherness. That is what interfaith work is all about. As we proceed with this evening, it is my duty to acknowledge and appreciate, indeed celebrate the Lord's blessings in sending us treasures manifold by having you all represented here. On behalf of our Muslim American community, on behalf of the Islamic Society of North America, and from the deepest feelings of my heart, allow me to thank you for your caring relationships, your sincere friendships, your bonds of togetherness forged on behalf of our shared principles and our common commitments to and aspirations for our communities, our society, our country, and our one world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That fraternity that we are talking about, my dear friends, is also an Islamic imperative. Interfaith relations are a key aspect of the Islamic mission, and certainly my own mission that I feel I'm blessed to have learned from so many wonderful leaders here. We are to be committed to working with people of all faith backgrounds to promote our shared values of mercy, justice, mutual understanding, and helping the most vulnerable amongst us. According to Islam, diversity is not just a fact of life, but it is divinely ordained. If God had so willed, he would have made you a single people. But his plan is to test you in what he has given you, so strive and compete in all virtues or in doing good. That is a verse from the Quran, and that sentiment is repeated often throughout the Quran. If it had been your Lord's will, they would have all believed, all who are on earth. Would you then compel mankind against their will to believe? Another verse of the Quran. So, to deny diversity or to act against diversity is therefore akin to going against the purpose of mankind. It is against the will of God who intended his creation to be diverse. Secondly, diversity has a purpose according to the Islamic tradition from within the Quran. The verse that is often cited in this regard, and there are scholars amongst the audience here who are way, way, way more informed than I could ever aspire to be. So with due respect and acknowledgement, I'm re-quoting that phrase. O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female and made you unto nations and tribes that you may know each other. So, this concept of knowing each other, I want us to take a moment to delve a little bit deeper into that. It is not superficially sitting at a table every now and then. It is getting to the bottom of what that person stands for, what drives them, what are their concerns, and how can I be a part of addressing those shared concerns. So getting to know each other, to do so from a perspective of compassion and true caring is important. So your presence here, my dear friends, it allows Muslims within the audience, certainly me, to practice my Islamic obligation of truly getting to know each other and doing so from a perspective of compassion. And the Noble Quran repeatedly stresses certain core concepts, including ihsan, benevolence, excellence in service, adl, justice in all endeavors, hikmah, wisdom in all actions, and perhaps most stressed of all is rahmah, compassion. Allah, the Lord's special names include Ar-Rahman, the all-compassionate, Ar-Rahim, the all-merciful, and the Prophet of Islam, may the peace and blessings of the Lord be upon him, he emphasized that Allah is kind, generous, he loves kindness and generosity and exalted manners. So that is part of the template that we adopt in interfaith work and relationships. And perhaps the best exemplary model of that template is that of the patriarch, Abraham. May the peace and blessings of the Lord be upon him. And as we all are aware, his approach to compassion and hospitality in welcoming the stranger was outstanding. Known for pitching his tent to be open in all four directions so that his hospitality was open and welcome to all visitors from all directions. And it is legendary that he never ate without a guest at his table. And I bring that up because in speaking about the interfaith relations that we all pursue, there are some characteristics which we all need to be focused on. The first one, of course, is compassion, as we spoke about, but then there is tolerance and acceptance and forgiveness. So it is stated that, I was given my 10 minutes and I've timed it, so inshallah I will wrap it up in a few minutes. I've got a 1 minute note, but I have that. So I take this seriously. I have rehearsed it. I'm keeping it right on time. Okay? So one day, Abraham goes out to search for people because there is nobody entering the tent. And then he finds an old man, brings him back as a guest, and on the way, he finds out that the man does not believe in God. And Abraham, the prophet, is angry and cancels his invitation, and then he is exhorted with a voice from above. "O Abraham, we tolerated this man for 70 years despite his disbelief, and you could not tolerate him for a few minutes." It is said that he understood the significance and he repented and he took the man home for dinner. I bring that up, brothers and sisters, because that element of compassion tied with forgiveness and tolerance and acceptance is significant. So as I wrap up, we gather together here today as people of diverse faiths. We are committed to peace and understanding as a moral imperative of our faiths. We are committed to building meaningful relationships on that basis. Tonight, we will reaffirm with total conviction the criticality of mutual dialogue amongst different religions to enhance understanding, harmony, and cooperation amongst people of this planet. We will, and I beg of you, let's make an intention in our hearts. We will constantly recommit ourselves to spreading the message of interfaith harmony across the world, in our places of worship, of business, of education, within the government, and interactions with government, my dear friend ambassador, of recreation, places of social engagement. And we will do so on the basis of our shared love of God and the good and love of fellow beings and neighbors and respect for our world and our environment. So keeping all that in mind, my dear respected leaders and my dear friends, join me in a brief prayer, if you will. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, all praise is due to you, O Lord of all the worlds. You have revealed your word and message as a guidance for mankind and the criterion between right and wrong. In this blessed gathering, our Lord, keep us guided on the straight path, ever discerning of and acting upon what is right, ever vigilant of and avoiding what is wrong. Dear Lord of guidance and of mercy, inspire us to be indiscriminately merciful and compassionate toward all fellow beings and creatures and of the planet and the environment that you have entrusted to our care. Tonight, our Lord of compassion, open up and connect our hearts and minds compassionately to nurture and leverage productive interfaith relationships so we may contribute toward a peaceful and just society. If I have penetrated a little bit of your heart with that prayer, may I have a resounding amen to that, please.
Amen.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Your presence here is tremendously important. Let's go forward and forge those ever important relationships that will keep us bonded together and the world and society a better place that we will all make. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. We're going to move now to reading a statement sent to us by Cardinal Blaise Safit. And this is a statement that he sent to the Islamic Society of North America. On behalf of the Archdiocese of Chicago, I would like to offer my well wishes and support as you gather for the Interfaith Banquet as part of the 59th Annual ISNA Convention. Would you like to read it?
I'll tell you why I'm interjecting, ladies and gentlemen, because there was a personal appeal, and Bishop Demetrios, you will understand this, from the office of the Archbishop, His Eminence, that and given the connections that we have had, that the statement be read out personally. So I owe that.
You forgot it.
I owe that. I forgot to read that out. And may the Lord and may the Archbishop forgive me. This is addressed from His Eminence, Cardinal Safit, Archbishop of Chicago, and it is addressed to the Islamic Society of North America, but to Imam Safit, Karavich. Outstanding work that you're doing, Imam. On behalf of the Archdiocese of Chicago, I'd like to offer my well wishes and support as you gather for the Interfaith Banquet as part of the 59th Annual ISNA Convention. While I regret that I cannot be with you for this celebration, I deeply appreciate the commitment of ISNA to interfaith dialogue and collaboration. The theme of this year's convention, Resilience, Hope, and Faith, with hardships come ease, speaks directly to the importance of faith in helping us to be resilient and hopeful in the face of today's challenges. Dialogue among and between our religious traditions is vital to bringing greater awareness of the value of faith in our world. As Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Ahmad al-Tayyib, wrote in the 2019 joint document on human fraternity, I assure you I had not read this letter when I prepared my remarks and addressed that part of the statement. He refers to that and says, dialogue among peoples means coming together in the vast space of spiritual, human, and shared social values, and from here, transmitting the highest moral virtues that religions aim for. Thank you for contributing to this conversation as people of faith, cultivating the core moral convictions to be found in our respective religious traditions. May this gathering provide a fruitful opportunity to advance interreligious dialogue with the goal of inspiring and strengthening our work together for the good of future generations. With kind personal regards, I remain sincerely yours, Archbishop of Chicago.
Now it is my distinct honor to invite on stage Imam Safit Karavich. He's the head of ISNA's Office of Interfaith, Community Alliances, and Governmental Relations in Washington, D.C. He's the Imam and Muslim chaplain at Brewer University. Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Sayyid, one of ISNA's founders and founding directors of ISNA's D.C. office, noted that Imam Safit is a nurse with a strong and unwavering commitment to deliver the wholesome message in America. So it is my honor to bring up the head of ISNA's Office of Interfaith, Community Alliances, and Governmental Relations, the man really behind all of this work, and welcome. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace. Wow, wonderful to be with you all, and I see the plates are coming to the table, so you were spot on, Brother Kareem, with regard to your remarks with regard to the banquet and dinners. Thank you for that. Thank all of you for being here. Ahlan wa sahlan is an Arabic term. For those of you who know Arabic better than myself, it means welcome. No, it doesn't. It means welcome to our family. Welcome to the place of sahl, the place of ease. For together we are all God's children. So welcome to this place of ease, this place of coming together so that when we leave here, we will be better empowered through the results of our relations with one another and the beginning of the relations, hopefully, for those who did not have relations before, as we go out into a very scary and challenging world. ISNA has participated over the years in many different programs, activities, campaigns, and actions that would fall under the umbrella of interfaith. Conversations hopefully lead to dialogue. Dialogue, at its best, leads to action. Justice in the public realm is love in action. And that is what our hopes are as we engage with our sisters and brothers from many other areas and communities. I was asked when I was appointed to the DC office by our journalist at the Islamic Horizons magazine, and if you haven't picked up your copy, do so. On the way out, we have it on the table. The flagship magazine for so many years at ISNA. Was asked, how are you going to do it, a single person appointed to the office in DC? I said very simply, by following the teachings of the Beatles. I'm going to get by with a little help from my friends. I'm going to try with a little help from my friends. And that's the truth of it. We are friends, but more importantly, as our brother Kareem mentioned, we are brothers. I know Imam Faisal is here from our brothers and sisters from the Shia community, and our Muslim Shia brothers and sisters, and we stand with them, and we stand by them for many years. There's a saying of Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, when it comes to human beings, you only have two choices. What are they, Sheikh? Brothers and sisters in faith, or brothers and sisters in creation. He went even beyond human beings. Brothers and sisters. That's our two choices. But we're all family. And so family needs to work together to make things better for the children and the future generations. ISNA is very proud to have partnered with various organizations over the years, and we're just going to highlight a couple of those partnerships that continue to exist and some new partnerships that we've engaged in. I like to call the development of these partnerships the result of bridge building. Now, to build a bridge, you need to have certain elements in place. And please feel free as the food comes to begin eating, it's most welcome. We'll have a prayer for eating after you start. It's no problem. We can say Bismillah if we forget. And a bridge builder has certain aspects that are critical to build a bridge, or certain elements need to be present. One, there has to be a recognition that there's a need for a bridge. There's a need to connect. Number one. Number two, there has to be a vision as to where to place this bridge best in order to serve that connection. Three, there needs to be a similar desire and vision from those on the other side where you're seeking to build that bridge to, so that you may have a partner build bridger, because we do not want to build bridges to nowhere. It is an exercise in futility, it wastes energy, and it wastes time. So you need to have a partner on the other side. And then you need to work together from both sides in order to enable that bridge to connect. And then you need the courage to walk over that bridge to the other side, to that strange place. And it is my belief, and I believe it is our experience for those involved in the building of these bridges, that you come back enriched. You become back more fully human than when you left as a result of that interaction. Now, bridges are fragile things, they can be destroyed. In my ancestral home of Bosnia and Herzegovina during the war of genocide in the 1990s. The bridge of Mostar that symbolized the connection was destroyed by hate. It physically destroyed, but that bridge has been rebuilt. It's not the same, materials have changed, but it is a bridge nonetheless. Bridges need to be maintained. Bridges need to be repaired. Bridges need to be utilized as commerce, traffic, information, culture, understandings of the world are shared across those bridges. And in the process of repairing them, we need to utilize materials, some that built them before, but others that we have not yet used. In today's world, we need more than ever to build more bridges and less walls. And the walls that exist, we need to work together to systematically take down. And coming from my environmental hat, the materials that we can utilize to rebuild, to repair, to maintain those bridges which we've already put in place can be utilized from some of the materials we've taken from breaking down those walls. I would like to call up the next video, cue up the next video, of one of those bridge builders that we are working with, and ISNA was proud to help to facilitate as one of the founding members of the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign that was mentioned by our dear brother Mir Khan. There's a short video clip, and then I'm going to ask our sister Cassandra Lawrence to say a few words about the work of the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign. Cue up the video, and Sister Cassandra can join us on the stage.
Hate, no matter its target, spreads like a fire, consuming us all.
Radical Islamists.
In 2010, anti-Muslim sentiment in the United States filled the airwaves of major media outlets.
And not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslim.
If they put a mosque up right here.
Controversy raged over the so-called Ground Zero mosque, and Florida pastor Terry Jones was threatening to publicly burn the Quran. The number of hate groups had escalated for a decade to an all-time high.
Today to discuss what we have considered to be a very alarming trend in a rise in anti-Muslim bigotry in this country.
In response to this new wave of Islamophobia, faith communities across the country came together to declare in one voice, an attack on one faith community is an attack on all faith communities. Since 2010, the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign has worked to form relationships, listen,
Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Imam Karavich. I bring greetings from our Executive Director, Nina Fernando, who couldn't be with us. My name is Cassandra Lawrence, and I'm the Communications and Community Engagement Manager for the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign. I also bring greetings from Catherine Laurie with the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, our co-chair, and Rabbi Esther Letterman, from the Union for Reform Judaism. Both of them could not be here, but send their greetings. I want to thank especially Dr. Said and Dr. El-Sanusi, Muhammad El-Sanusi, who I think is at this table, if I remember correctly, or he was, and Dr. Ingrid Mattson, and so many of you in this room who helped establish the Shoulder to Shoulder campaign in 2010. We specifically work with people of faith beyond the Muslim community to help support them in becoming strategic partners alongside our Muslim, Arab, Sikh, South Asian, and other people impacted by anti-Muslim discrimination. We connect, we equip, and we mobilize communities of faith to more effectively counter anti-Muslim discrimination, We help Jews and Christians like myself and others see anti-Muslim discrimination as their issue too. I have many pages of comments, but of course I'm not going to say them all because we want to eat dinner. So I just want to share a very quick statement about why this issue is important to me. This issue, this value, became personal to me when I was 13, on my first high school church trip. I had heard high schoolers describe the fun and lessons they learned on this trip about inclusion, about love, about justice, about God. And midweek on our way to an afternoon of swimming and barbecue, I decided I wanted to change vans to be with the older kids. But it turns out they didn't want me in their van and said something mean to emphasize the point. I was often teased in school but didn't expect it at church camp, where everyone talked about inclusion and love. Not knowing what to do, I walked along the lakeshore away from the other kids, praying to God as I cried, singing my favorite song, "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow" from Little Orphan Annie. Luckily, it wasn't long before Helen, also on her first trip as a chaperone, sat beside me, asked me what was wrong, and put her arm around me, and after a while, helped me find some other kids to swim with while she talked with the kids who had teased me. As I reflect on that day, Helen taught me a valuable lesson. I learned that while we may speak about inclusion, we often fall short, sometimes far short. I learned that while we speak about loving our neighbor, we don't even know our neighbor. I learned that while we hurt each other, we also have a choice of how to respond. Helen knew her first responsibility was to care for me, to know my tears, to connect me with community. Then she went to speak with those other kids and be sure they knew what they had done. When we realize that we have excluded or harmed another, we have a decision. We can either recommit to our highest ideals, to the greatest commandment, to seek justice and compassion, or to ignore it all and cut ourselves off from each other, ourselves, and from God. I pray that we continue to choose justice and compassion as we strive towards inclusion in this great work. I thank you, I thank ISNA. I look forward to working with Imam Karavich in the years to come, and all of you, and thank you for all of your time.
There's a supplication the Muslims make when they forget to say the supplication at the beginning of the meal. I said it in Arabic before, I was reminded and translated it in English. So you don't have to stop eating our grace or our sharing of grace. It's Bismillah al-awwalu al-akhir. In the name of God, in the beginning and in the end. So enjoy your meal, but we'll go on with parts of the program. Okay, another example of a partnership that has lasted over the years, and we thank our predecessors in the DC office and one of my mentors, Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Sayyid, for the outreach, and Dr. Muhammad Al-Sanusi, who's named also my immediate predecessor in that office, who also continues to serve on the ISNA executive, is our relationship with the ELCA, the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America. And I was honored to receive a phone call out of the blue after Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Sayyid made the necessary introductions to Catherine Moore. And she said, you know, we're working on this Muslim declaration statement amongst other parts of our conversation. And we'd really appreciate if you could sort of input it. We put a lot of time and effort into it. Would provide us some input. I circulated that statement some within our Muslim leadership and scholarship. And it was truly a blessing and an honor to be asked to participate by one of our wonderful partners in that process. I would like to ask Dr. Mark Swanson, Professor of Christian Muslim Studies and Interfaith Relations at the Lutheran School of Theology and Chair of the ELCA Consultative Panel on Lutheran Muslim Relations, to share a few words about this important declaration that we were honored to receive at the recent ELCA National Convening.
Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of Almighty God be with you all. So thank you, Imam Karavich. My name is Mark Swanson. I teach at the Lutheran School of Theology here in Chicago. And I bring you greetings from the ELCA's presiding bishop, Elizabeth Eden, and the ELCA, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, as well as its executive for ecumenical and interreligious relations, Dr. Catherine Laurie. They send their sincere regrets this evening. They're unable to be here. They're at the Assembly of the World Council of Churches in Karlsruhe, Germany. Earlier this year, the ELCA Church Council unanimously adopted a declaration of the ELCA to the Muslim community, uplifting our commitment to friendship and solidarity with our Muslim neighbors. A critical element of the drafting process was the rich and wise input we received from Muslim friends and colleagues, including Dr. Said and Imam Safit Karavich. This feedback challenged us to speak a word about how we view Muslims, not just how we think or theologize about the possibility of Christian-Muslim relationships, but how we view Muslims. And so the declaration begins, I quote, "As the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, we assure our Muslim neighbors of our love and respect and reaffirm our commitment to working together in our shared communities for the common good." End of quote. At its core, the declaration affirms the way of dialogue, not the polemics of the 16th century, but the way of dialogue, in which difference is acknowledged and honored. Again, I quote, "We have experienced dialogue as an occasion for genuine learning, honest conversation, retrieval of neglected aspects of one's own tradition, fresh insight, and the cultivation of respect and friendship. We have discovered that the precious teaching we have inherited is not at risk, but enriched through dialogue." End of quote. And so we offer this declaration to our dear Muslim neighbors and friends, not merely as a document, but as a sign of our love and esteem and our commitment to walk and work with you in ongoing partnership for peace and justice for all people and in care for creation. As a reciprocal sign of this commitment, we were honored and grateful that Imam Safit Karavich was able to greet our ELCA churchwide assembly last month in Columbus, Ohio, during which time our partnership and this declaration were lifted up across the church. His words were a challenge, an encouragement, and an inspiration to us. We are hopeful about the areas where we can deepen and extend our work together in areas of common concern, such as indigenous rights, racial justice and climate justice, and in addressing hatred, xenophobia, and violence, including anti-Muslim bigotry. So I close these greetings with some words from Bishop Eden. She wrote, "Through this declaration to you, we recommit ourselves to the heart of both our theological traditions, love of God and love of neighbor. Lutherans and Muslims have engaged in a dialogue of life, learning from our differences and growing in our common beliefs. We have discovered friendship and solidarity, working shoulder to shoulder toward a better life for all people and creation. Along the way, we have come to know each other and ourselves. and we have come to expect great joy in knowing you. We give thanks for you, our neighbors, who reflect God's generous love. Thank you all for the privilege of being here this evening. Peace be with you all.
Yeah, somebody's here, but they need a phone.
Thank you, Dr. Swanson.
This person comes this.
The Al-Talib Award, please continue to enjoy your food and your fellowship. We break bread together. We can live together. We can anticipate each other's joy, and we can share and comfort each other during times of pain. Al-Talib Award. It is a tradition of the Interfaith Banquet to present an award of recognition to members of some of those courageous bridge builder partners, members of our brothers and sisters from other faith communities who have shown extraordinary help, support, understanding, and appreciation for the Muslim community here in America. This year was decided that we would initiate the same tradition in a new way. There's something about sacks and wine and new wine, but I'm not going to go there because Muslims don't drink wine. So, today, the Ummah, the global faith community of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, peace be upon him, has reached nearly 2 billion, reaching all corners of the earth that we share together. Here in North America, known as the ancestral tribal nation as Turtle Island, and specifically here in Chicago, the Council of Free Fires Nations, the Ojibwa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. We recognize as Muslims hard work, sacrifice, commitment, struggle are only part of the reason for our ability to succeed. We recognize that it is through the help of friends and the support and understanding of our neighbors as we engage in making our way in America that we are not alone. To struggle, to succeed, to be who we are. From the prophetic seerah, from the life history of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, our prophet in his early struggle to create the nucleus of a global brotherhood and sisterhood was oppressed tooth and nail by his own relatives and vested interests who saw his message as a threat to their establishment. They imposed limitations on his activities, tortured his supporters, but there were voices of brave and honest others who did not directly join and follow him, but provided support that was so critical for this nascent Muslim community to survive. Among those who supported the Prophet Muhammad in his mission, there is one outstanding character who has been overlooked in history. This character is none other than Abu Talib, the Prophet's beloved uncle, who raised, protected, and supported the Prophet at every step of the way. Without Abu Talib's contributions, the Prophet's life and mission would have been greatly endangered, and that of the survival of his community. Muslims are indebted to Abu Talib for 42 years of continuous support and protection of the Prophet. Abu Talib was a person of high morals and compassion. He was the leader of the Bani Hashim tribe. He assisted the Prophet Muhammad during times of tribulation and tried to help stabilize the budding religion of Islam in Arabia. Although he was relatively poor, Abu Talib helped Muhammad in every way he could. Today, in honor of the legacy of Abu Talib, we have a special award to be given to our brother Jacob Bender. I would ask now that our dear sister, Najiba Sayed, share a message from her father. Najiba is not unknown to many of you, but we are very proud of her many accomplishments, most recently in her newly appointed position as the inaugural Al-Hibri Endowed Chair and Executive Director of the Interfaith at Augsburg University. Dr. Najiba.
Assalamu alaikum. What a wonder it is to be in person. The Jewish ethicist Levinas tells us that dignity is created when we are face to face, that the dignity of the human being is by being face to face. Thank Allah that we are together face to face. Today we are here to present the Abu Talib Award to Jacob Bender. Abu Talib was an uncle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But today, I would redefine this as my father, Dr. Saeed, would say, it is not for an uncle, but for a brother, Jacob Bender. Prophet Muhammad said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. None of you believes until they want for their brother what they want for themselves. My father speaks of Jacob Bender with great love. My father often pushed forward in uncertain times, untested methods, uncharted territories. In the 1990s, when Muslims and Jews publicly were unable to meet together, my father sent me at 19 years old to represent Muslims at a conference of Muslims and Jews. So this work has been happening before 9/11. In Jacob Bender, my father found a partner in building peace, in challenging a future vision of this country that was based on division. My father and Jacob Bender together as brothers saw an alternate vision. But you know what? To see such a vision is irrational. It takes a friendship that is tested. So we are here to honor Jacob Bender for his decades of activism, promoting mutual respect and understanding between Muslims, Christians, and Jews around the world, and on behalf of peace and justice movements in the U.S. He additionally has a long resume of professional accomplishments in the field of communication for both nonprofit and corporate clients. Jacob has been extensively published in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, the International Herald, and around the world. For many, many Muslims, following the attacks of September 11th, Jacob was the initiator of dialogue with the American Muslim community. He showed up, my father, with tears will say, he showed up when no one else did. When no one had the courage to stand with the Muslim community in times and places, Jacob Bender stood with my father as a brother and with all of us as a brother, because he wishes for our community what he wishes for himself. He has spoken dozens of times at mosques and large gatherings and at the convention. He was a featured speaker all over the world and was invited to participate in historic places such as Al-Azhar University. So he has made a contribution to the American Muslim community, but also to the international Muslim community. Because of his work, he was selected as a finalist for the prestigious Goldizer Prize for Jewish-Muslim Relations. Many of us are beloved as professors. We know that he is also a documentary filmmaker, and his film Out of Cordova explores the lives and influence of Ibn Rushd, Averroes, the Muslim, and Musa ibn Maimun, Maimonides the Jew, and the two greatest thinkers to emerge from Al-Andalus. This film has been screened dozens and dozens of times around the world, and I use it, in fact, in my own teaching. So what we want to do today is to honor our brother who wanted for us what he wanted for himself. And we want for him what he wants for us. Such is the circle of brotherhood and sisterhood that we build today. And my father, Dr. Saeed, who could not make it, wants you to know from his heart that he wishes he was here, and that all of you who are here today are only the beginning of the story of an alternate vision of this country that is based on unity as brothers and sisters, that no bond will break, because we want for each other what we want for ourselves. Please let me introduce Jacob Bender, who is also in a uniquely leadership position of CARE, a Muslim organization in Philadelphia, which he will discuss and share with you. God bless all of you, and God bless America.
I would like to ask now our president, Dr. Safir Zarzor, accompanied by our executive director, my boss, Basharat Salim, and our vice president for today, as we welcome a new vice president tomorrow, and has appreciated her service and dedication and sacrifice over the years, Magda Al-Qadi. And of course, Dr. Najib is with us to present Jacob Bender with the Abu Talib Award, and I would ask my respected president to, if he can read that.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Abu Talib Award. This award is presented to Mr. Jacob Bender in recognition of his outstanding contributions to and consistent courageous support of justice and fairness for the Muslim community and cause of Islam in North America, presented by the Islamic Society of North America at the 59th Annual Convention, Chicago, Illinois, September 4th, 2022, Safar 28, 1444. Congratulations.
Thank you all for coming to my bar mitzvah. A year after I was hired as CARE Philadelphia's first Jewish executive director, I received a phone call from a reporter from the New York Times who said he wanted to interview me for the paper. I suggested he meet me that coming Friday at a local mosque where I was scheduled to speak after Jummah. A few days later, the reporter's article appeared in the paper with the following as its opening sentence. When Jacob Bender, an American Jew, rose to speak at the mosque, his hands was noticeably shaking. Now, if the reporter was truly interested in journalistic accuracy, he would have just asked me about the shaking, and I would have answered him that I am a person living with Parkinson's, a neurological condition that causes involuntary tremors. Rather, the reporter clearly meant to imply that I was shaking because I was afraid of speaking before a Muslim audience. That distortion, this falsehood that Jews should be afraid of Muslims, this is the ideology that underlies Israel's fear of Palestinian freedom, as well as the ADL's obsession with the BDS movement on college campuses across the nation. My own contribution to countering this Jews and Muslims are enemies thesis was out of Cordoba, my documentary film that criticized the so-called enemies thesis as ahistoric and Islamophobic. I began fundraising for the film, but you know you have not been doing a great job fundraising if after 2 years of looking for funds, your biggest donor is still your mother. It was around this time, as if by miracle, that I received a phone call out of the blue from Dr. Saeed from an organization named ISNA. He had read about my film project on the internet and invited me to speak at this very same banquet back in 2003. At Dr. Saeed's suggestion, I also applied for funding to the Al-Wadid bin Talal Foundation of Saudi Arabia. About a year later, I received an email informing me that the foundation was donating $200,000 to Out of Cordoba. Alas, documentary filmmaking is not a terribly lucrative profession, and after screening the film around the world for 3 years, I received a note from my business partners, commonly referred to as wife and daughter, that it was time I got a quote-unquote real job. And thus I applied to and was hired by CARE Philadelphia as their new executive director in 2013. It was an experiment for both of us, whether a Jew could direct a Muslim organization. But the naysayers and skeptics and haters were proved wrong. And tonight I answer in the affirmative that I am honored to stand with CARE and ISNA and all those who struggle for democracy and human rights in China, Kashmir, in India, in Burma, Brooklyn, and Palestine. Not for a second, however, do I believe that this award is bestowed upon me alone, but as well to my amazing staff and executive board members who have kept CARE Philadelphia afloat and indeed thriving during these turbulent times. It has been an amazing ride, and I feel blessed beyond all words to have made this journey into the heart of the Ummah. The knowledge I gained, the friends I made, the speeches I gave, the programs I produced will be with me forever. So thank you, Shukran Jazilan, very much.
of a common era. Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived in remarkable relationship and cooperation in Al-Andalus, the Arabic name for the Iberian Peninsula and part of Morocco.
Although it wasn't perfect, Al-Andalus was a pre-modern inspiration for living a multi-faith, pluralistic, tolerant society. Looking back, people often called it the Golden Age, and in Spain, it's known as the convivencia, living together.
In that spirit, the National Council of Synagogues and the Islamic Society of North America will collaborate on an endeavor we're calling the Al-Andalus Project. It's an opportunity to learn about each other's faiths and histories, and also how to navigate the challenges of living together in mutually beneficial relationship in today's fractured America.
There are two parts to this project. First, a series of webinars on the legacy of Al-Andalus, presented by some of the top scholars in the field, with high-level, accessible, educational, and programming materials for your mosque and your synagogue.
Our curriculum includes the convivencia and what it means for us today in the United States. Additional webinars will continue to reach across lines of differences, building on this educational foundation and the second part of the project.
The second part of the Al-Andalus Project is a trip to southern Spain and Fez, Morocco. This interfaith journey will make it real. We'll explore how today's America may become more like a convivencia and encourage long-term, energized engagement among participants.
Are you interested? Find your synagogue or your mosque. We'll connect you with the information and begin sharing experiences together, like attending our webinars or taking a workshop or even a meal. We're learning and participating. Together we'll build on the foundation of study for long.
Those are the educational goals and our intention for social impact. In the short term, we want to raise $260,000 from grants and individual donors to produce the webinars and the journey. In the long term, we want to stimulate a new dialogue among American Muslims and Jews.
We hope you will join us in this important adventure and undertaking.
3, 2, 1,
We want you to become involved. For more information, you can contact us at interfaith@isna.net and type Al-Andalus in the subject line. To support this work, go to isna.net, click the donate button, and specify that you want your gift to support Al-Andalus. Or send your donation to ISNA or NCS earmarked for Al-Andalus Project.
Please participate with the National Council of Synagogues and the Islamic Society of North America for a new dialogue, for new possibilities, and for a 21st century convivencia of Muslims and Jews in our
If you don't believe that I've been redeemed, we can use our common sense to understand it. Know that it's not right, that it's not justice.
Sounds simplistic, but it is mental and sometimes physical. I had dreams of those, and they weren't to be an incarcerated person. They weren't dreams of being in solitary confinement.
The world that we live in is not evil.
Let's put a stop to it.
What happens if there's a prison in that?
Greetings, Assalamu alaikum. This is Bishop William J. Barber II. I am the president of Repairers of the Breach and the co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, National Call for Moral Revival. And on behalf of the entire campaign across this country, all of our partners, all of our faith partners, my national co-chair, Reverend Dr. Liz Harris, I am honored to bring greetings to the 59th Annual Islamic North America Convention. Mr. President, and to your team, we stand with you in this theme of resilience and hope and faith. Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. We understand that in this time that we live in, we must have resilience because our nation faces issues that do not have to be resilience. And if we work together, we can change.
Happy that you all are enjoying your dinner. The videos that we saw were new partnerships that ISNA has developed in its DC office. The first video you saw was of the June 18th march, where about 180,000 people marched together to the White House, to DC, asking for fair pay and a higher minimum wage and more care for the poor and underprivileged members of our society. The second video you saw was the Al-Andalus Project, and the third video you saw was Mir Khan. And now I'd like to bring up Reverend P.C. Murrow, who works with the National Religious Campaign Against Torture and is a United Methodist minister. Thank you.
Thank you. The National Religious Campaign Against Torture is a 300-member organization. We have 300 religious organizations at the national, regional, and local level that are members, and I know that many of you are with communions that are members, so thank you very much. We continue our work to close Guantanamo, to hold the U.S. accountable as best we can to the post-9/11 torture program of the CIA. We have succeeded in some cases to keep people out of positions in our government and have failed in other times, for example, one of the recent CIA directors. The film preview that was shown a few minutes ago was of a new film, Torture in Our Name, that tells the success of campaigns in New Jersey and New York. I know we have some folks from New Jersey and New York here, and you all have been leading the way in your states to put limits on solitary confinement in our prisons and jails. Mir Khan decided to continue in 2010 after success of the Obama administration in 2009, putting an end to the CIA's torture program. And we looked at what was happening in the United States. And one of the things is that approximately 80,000 people any day are held in conditions of solitary confinement. We invite you to watch the film, share it in your communities, and if you are not already involved in our work, you can talk to me afterwards or learn more at nrcat.org. And we are so grateful for ISNA having been one of our founding members in 2006 and for the continued partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Murrow. Now I would like members of the Poor People's Campaign that are here to stand up. Reverend Marilyn Pagan-Banks, Sister Joyce Brody, Brother Carlos Rodriguez, Sister Anamal Jabali, and Dr. Elias Ortega. Thank you. If you all could please stand up. 60 years ago, the feeling of compassion in the heart of a pastor in Montgomery, Alabama, for his sister led to a movement that led to a complete transformation of America. The Poor People's Campaign represents that legacy. And we are really happy that the members of Poor People's Campaign are present with us, and it still continues. It is still the model of interfaith in America, and what Dr. King established with Rabbi Heschel and Thich Nhat Hanh and others is still the model for interfaith. And so we're really happy that members of the Poor People's Campaign are here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to move on to bringing up the Executive Director of the Parliaments of World Religion. As he comes up, we're going to be watching a preview or a promo video for the 2023 Parliament of World Religions conference that will be happening in Chicago next year. And it is my honor to bring up Reverend Dr. Stephen Avila. Thank you very much.
In 1893, religious leaders from around the globe came together in Chicago for the first Parliament of the world's religions. The meeting was a groundbreaking gathering of representatives of Eastern and Western spiritual traditions. Today, it is recognized as the birth of interfaith dialogue worldwide. 100 years later, at the 1993 Parliament in Chicago, religious leaders came together again to affirm the Declaration towards a global ethic. The Declaration is a powerful statement of the ethical common ground shared by the world's religious and spiritual traditions. Now, 30 years later, representatives of the world's religious traditions will once again gather in Chicago to affirm human rights and the productive discourse that comes from interfaith dialogue.
The 2023 Parliament, convening in Chicago, will address one of the foundational issues of our time, the threat to freedom and human rights. We must defend freedom and human rights together and find solutions to the rise of autocracy in our world. Through this lens, gathered participants will discuss the threat to democracy, the crisis of climate change, the dignity of women and girls, the rights of indigenous peoples, engaging the next generation, peace, justice, the reduction of inequalities, and more. The Parliament will be a place of open minds and open hearts, where we can all express the wonder and dignity of our religious and spiritual traditions against the backdrop of the majestic beauty of Lake Michigan.
The world was called to Chicago in 1893 and 1993. 30 years later, the world is called again. Join us. Get involved today by answering the call for programs, becoming an exhibitor or sponsor, joining the Parade of Faiths, hosting a pre-Parliament event, or volunteering at the 2023 Parliament.
All are welcome. Register now.
Thank you. So as you can see, next year in Chicago, I'm here to announce that we will be having the Parliament of the World's Religions, and it will be returning to the city after 30 years away. And I want to thank ISNA for inviting me to speak today. They've been partners of ours since the beginning, since we restarted the Parliament 30 years ago, and it continued to be an important partner for the Parliament today. But as you saw in that video, we've got a lot of work to do. So all of you are welcome and are called to Chicago again in August 14th to 18th, McCormick Place, Lakeside Center. Our theme next year is a call to conscience, defending freedom and human rights.
Denise, 1 minute.
And I think it's very important right now that all people of faith, I think it's not a surprise for me to tell you that freedom and human rights have been under attack all over the world. In our own country, we have an erosion of democracy happening, and I think as people of faith, we need to come together and say enough is enough. It's not acceptable. We need to make a better world. So we hope all of you can come next year and be part of that experience with us. You can find out more information at 2023POWR.org, and you can register and actually propose programs to present as well, and sign up for our exhibit hall and volunteer as well. So that's 2023POWR.org. Thank you very much.
Now we're going to move on to inviting Dr. Muhammad Al-Ahadi, educator, researcher, and published author, and the executive director of ISNA, up on the stage, Mr. Bashar Salim. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Al-Ahari. I have had the honor and privilege to have worked as a Chicago public school teacher for over a quarter century, and I have collected material on the history of Islam in the West when I was working on my doctorate and on my master's in Islamic theology. I have edited over a dozen collections of the writings of Muhammad Alexander Russell Webb, or as he has been called in several works, the Yankee Muhammad. This missionary convert was a St. Louis, Missouri Republican and consul to the Philippines. He was a diplomat during the Cleveland administration and used his spare time to read about religions and cultures around the world. He studied Buddhism, Theosophy, and Islam, and started correspondence with Muslims in the Indian subcontinent. When he returned to the United States, he represented Islam at the 1893 World Parliament of Religions in Chicago, opened a library and Islamic reading room on Broadway in Manhattan, and started the Muslim World newspaper. Webb's work sought to correct the misconceptions among Christian Americans about the Islamic faith and the Muslim East. Finally, let me quote Webb's booklet, Namaz, the Islamic prayer, about the purpose of a Muslim life, peaceful coexistence. To be pure in heart, in word, and in deed is the paramount purpose of a true Muslim's life. The perfect fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man is the cornerstone of his faith and has a fuller expression in the Islamic system than in any other religion known to man. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, greetings of peace. My name is Bashar Salim. I'm the Executive Director of the Islamic Society of North America. On behalf of ISNA, I would like to welcome you all to our 59th annual convention. Thank you all for your attendance at this banquet. As others have said before, ISNA has been doing interfaith work for the last 20 years, alhamdulillah. Together with your help and with your support, we want to make this world a better place. Back in 1993, here in Chicago, ISNA responded to call of the Parliament of World Religions, the premier global interfaith convening organization, and partnered with them as they began planning for the centennial convening. At that time, Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Saeed served on the resurrection team of the Parliament and moderated some of the key sessions of that historic gathering of representatives of the world's religions. We are proud that the legacy continues with Imam Safit Karavich, who in addition to heading our Office for Interfaith, Community and Government Relations, serves as a member of Parliament's board and executive as their treasurer. An important part of ISNA's mission and work has been and continues to be constructive engagement with our neighbors from other religions and faiths to build in the work of the Parliament of World's Religions a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world. I have personally been fascinated with the story and life of Muhammad Alexander Russell Webb, the Muslim representative to the 1893 Parliament convening and the birthplace of the global interfaith movement, as beautifully outlined by Dr. Ahari's and Webb's commitment to nurture and grow Islam here in America. Inspired by his example, ISNA is proud to announce today that we have begun the formation of the Muhammad Alexander Russell Webb Circle of Friends as part of the Circle of Patrons of the Parliament of World's Religions. Over the next several months, we will be finalizing the names of Muslim individuals, institutions, and organizations who will be joining with ISNA as contributing members of the Circle of Friends and thereby provide financial and other forms of support in a sustained way to the Parliament. If you are interested in becoming a part of this initiative, please speak to Imam Safit Karavich. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Kusumita Peterson, and I am a trustee, a longtime trustee on the board of the Parliament of the World's Religions. And I would like to express the most profound gratitude on behalf of the whole board and staff to ISNA for making its pledge, as you just heard, to become a member of the new information Circle of Patrons of the Parliament of the World's Religions. The Circle of Patrons is a group of significant partners and supporters in giving material support because of their embrace and identification with the mission, vision, and values of the Parliament, which is a world of peace, justice, and sustainability with care for the earth through interfaith partnership, engagement with the issues of our time, singly in interfaith collaboration, and also with the leading institutions of society. So once again, the Alexander Russell Webb Circle of Friends is an incredibly welcome step that is taken to bring us even closer together in our making our long-standing partnership more powerful, and we call on all of you to support it, and please see Imam Safit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kusumita. Dr. Kusumita, we're really thankful Dr. Kusumita is here as well. She is one of the foremost people of knowledge on interfaith work. So we're really honored that she came. Thank you. So now we're going to move into our final part of the program, and it is called the Open Lands Project here in Chicago. Open Lands protects the natural and open spaces in northeastern Illinois and the surrounding region to ensure cleaner air and water and protect natural habitats and wildlife and help balance and enrich our lives. Please join us together as we gather with our interfaith leaders in planting this tree. I'd like to now bring up Sister Caroline Williams, and I would also like to bring up again my sister Tahira, our MC, and we'll begin with this final section of the program. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be on you all. My name is Sarah Howe. I'm a tree planting program manager, and I'm here with Sister Caroline, CEO, and Sister Maria Zaragoza from the Chicago Muslims Green Team, a local nonprofit connecting Chicago Muslims and the greater community to issues of environmental justice and spreading awareness about an eco-friendly lifestyle based on Islamic teachings. Recently, the City of Chicago launched the Our Roots Chicago program, which seeks to take an equity-based approach to planting 75,000 trees in the City of Chicago by the year 2025, with the first 15,000 trees planted this year. As a partner of the City of Chicago, CMGT facilitates these tree plantings by working with organizations and communities around the Chicago area to increase the number of tree plantings in neighborhoods with low tree canopy coverage. Planting trees in these areas will reduce rates of respiratory illnesses such as asthma, decrease flood risk, decrease the effects of the urban heat and urban heat island effect, and also lower greenhouse gas emissions, among many other health and environmental benefits. So today we're here to bless this tree. It's a bur oak, which is a native species to the Midwest, and we're going to dedicate this tree as an interfaith peace and unity tree. Once it's planted in the Bronzeville neighborhood, inshallah, we'll be sending out pictures and a map to it and posting it on our website, which you can view at chicagomuslimsgreenteam.org. So as we work to achieve this goal of planting 15,000 trees this year in under-resourced neighborhoods, we welcome all support from the interfaith community. Please reach out to us if you'd like to get involved as a volunteer or if you would like to have a tree planted in front of your home. Thank you.
For the blessing, we will be sharing a very short recitation from the Quran. There are 3 verses, which briefly translate as recognizing that God, the Almighty, our higher power, is the one who gives us the ability to plant, but we have to initiate and take that first step. We also wanted to recognize that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says in a hadith or a narration that even if you know that the day of judgment is near, even if you know that the day of judgment is near, still plant the sapling that you have in your hand. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفرأيتم ما تحرثون أأنتم تزرعونه أم نحن الزارعون لو نشاء لجعلناه حطاما فظلتم تفكهون صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, thank you for that recitation. Bless you. We're going to move into the final section of the program. We're getting a little bit closer to it's Maghrib time, and I'm Shafi. So, in the Shafi Madhab, we have a very short time of prayer. So, thank you. Now I'd like to bring up Rabbi Edward Friedman, Archbishop Demetrios of Mokisos, the Greek Orthodox Church of America, Father John Pawlikowski, Vatican Dicastery on Climate Change. Father, could I get some help for Father Joe, please? Thank you. Brother Sharif?